There's something unattainable about Master Shin-ichi Sakamoto's art. Today, I'm going to strip it down to what can be achieved using traditional pen and ink tools. In this study, I'll render 3 characters, analyze what stands out about this master's work, and reflect on what we can learn from his style. The first one is a warm-up sketch. I'm paying attention to proportions and aiming to match the character's expression as the master intended. This warm-up sketch is also my initiation to how the master makes marks. The characteristics of his style, he says, is an artistic pursuit of realism. I'm thinking ahead on how I might ink this. Sakamoto sensei builds each line so delicately that it looks like he gently renders with a soft pencil. The strokes have a transparency to them that will be tricky to replicate with traditional inking tools. He's self-taught. He's worked incredibly hard for the past 3 decades to get to this level. He started his career in the early 90s, right out of high school. His first serialized manga, including The Climber, were rendered traditionally, using a brush pen, which blows my mind. He switched to digital when he started Innocent. He still uses analog mediums when he's practicing and for his storyboards, but the final art we see is produced digitally. I won't get into his whole workflow here, but know that he does have a team of specialists who work together with him on each spread. So it's best not to get caught up in the technical proficiencies or complexity of the production of his manga. A lot goes into it, from storyboard to final product. But we can learn about his mark-making style by studying these characters. Amongst his digital brushes is a G-nib that he uses for some of the outlines. However, we noted that his style is realistic, and since subjects in real life have no outlines, he blurs, softens, and erases parts of the lines, which is another aspect of his techniques that make his work stand apart. That disturbing expression with the eyelashes gives me Clockwork Orange vibes. I'm sure that association's been made before. I saw a video that he starts the ink application with the eyes, nose, and then lips. The lips are plump, drawn in the shape of clouds. That's actually what he's known for. The lips, hair, and eyelashes. The character's expressions can quickly go from innocent to monster simply with how he renders lips, hair, and eyelashes. For my first attempt at replicating his digital marks, I went with fineliner pens and a gray marker. As mentioned at the beginning, there's something unattainable with the way he draws. A reason for that is his threshold for working on a single piece is higher than most of us. What I mean by that is, if a drawing takes me days or even hours to complete, my stamina and enthusiasm fade considerably. But the master will keep working and reworking the same drawing for days if that's what it takes to get it right. With traditional, there's no clean way to rework a piece that's been inked, but you can assess results and decide what might be more effective and apply that information to your next project. By doing this first sketch, I now know how my next study can be improved. My underdrawing, it was too loose. The lines weren't clearly defined, which made for a lot of guesswork at the inking stage. I'm learning that hesitation does not serve the style. One must ink with confidence. Master Sakamoto builds his values gradually. Each stroke has a purpose. With digital, he can redo the marks when dissatisfied with the effect. With analog, the penciling stage is the last experimental step before the final inks. Therefore, I should apply myself more at the penciling stage. I've been a long-time fan of his meticulous process. It was this mesmerizing image that first caught my attention, so for the second study, I'm determined to get a clean underdrawing. For this, I'm using a trick I learned from Master Alfredo Alcala. He traces the subject with his finger or pencil to register the overall shape in his mind, sort of like a muscle memory rehearsal. It does actually help. You can try it with a photo and live subjects too. That's how Master Alcala taught himself how to draw. I took my time, investing effort in the eyes and that magnificent hair. Knowing how meticulous Sensei is, the placement of each curl plays a key role in framing the character's face. I therefore built the hair strand by strand as he likely did, starting from the middle cluster, top of the head, then traveling left to right. Actually, a fun fact, Sakamoto sensei has a hair library of his past drawings that he then customizes for different characters. He has over 2,000 of these. That tells me he's drawn hair to this god level at least 2,000 times. No wonder he's good. If you're thinking, oh well, this library is a shortcut, he's not taking shortcuts on the final art. The time he saves not drawing the hair from scratch means he can reallocate his creativity elsewhere. He might still take 3 days to refine a significant spread or cover art. He's dedicated to the artistry. Seeing as I applied myself on the pencils for this study, the ink application went smoother than expected. For the ink application, I used a Tashikawa Soft Maru dip pen. It's finer and more flexible than a standard G-nib to produce delicate strokes. I started with the eyes, nose, and lips, traveling left to right on the picture plane to avoid smudging the ink. For the hair, I'm paying attention to line quality. Line quality is the weight of the marks. The main clusters of curls are thicker, with the supporting strands lighter, thinner. It's at this point that I noticed how the outline is faded or missing where small strands overlap. As I mentioned before, he doesn't rely solely on outlines to describe the forms. He avoids hard lines where a soft hatching texture is sufficient, so that what's left blank can be completed by the viewer. The master accomplishes the overall look by using the lighter tones below the mid-value range of the scale, punched by contrast to emphasize volume and depth. The values arrangement successfully draws your attention to the character's face. You'll observe that 90% of this illustration is rendered in light to mid-tones on the value scale. So it was essential to apply very little pressure on my nib. We talked about how Sensei goes over the lines rather than going bold on the first stroke. To conclude my second study, an ink wash in the background with a hint of thickness to the outer contour lines are the finishing touches. For the next character, I had my heart set on studying this high contrast image of one of the main characters from his most recent manga, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Except, look at the texture. It would be best to save this study for a different medium like graphite or charcoal. Instead, I opted for another character from Innocent Rouge, which has more pen-friendly hatch marks. My goal with the second study was to improve on the first. The master had rendered those characters with clean, precise strokes. In this third image, my goal changes because the master's marks here are more dynamic. Therefore, I will aim to capture the unhinged energy of the character's expression. So I'm back to a scribbly sketch, just mapping out where the values will go. For the ink application, I focus on matching the values and imitating the overall motion of the marks. I'm definitely getting Joker vibes from this one. What did we learn from imitating the master strokes? My takeaways from doing these studies were kind of small things, but they will help level up my skills for future projects. Lesson number 1. Not every outline needs to be bold or even inked at all. Many of us will overdo the line weight variety. That can create unnecessary contrast and distract the viewer from the storytelling. Master Shin-ichi Sakamoto shows restraint in his rendering style. His art is over the top, but the line quality is disciplined. Lesson number 2, the use of open sections in the overlaps to describe areas of highlight. I was familiar with missing edges on outlines, but Sakamoto sensei uses this technique with true flair. Lesson number 3, in the third study, I noticed his use of gesture drawing techniques for capturing the main line of action. Here, the mark travels from the eyebrow, nose, upper lip, and mouth all in a single stroke. These 3 things seem small, but they will have a big impact on improving my art with practice. Although his level of mastery seems unattainable, in one of his interviews, Sakamoto sensei said there was a 10-year span where he had 0 success. His journey shows that with determination, repetition, and a vision, you can achieve a lot. So let's keep at it. If you found inspiration in this video to study your favorite masters, I've linked the Master Study playlist in the description below for a step-by-step approach to the analysis as well as goal setting for your learning needs. So be sure to check out the description for many other helpful resources. All the best with your studies, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.